Hi, I'm Adam.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Chris.
And you're watching Flack.
The show that brings you Obama Mama Drama 24/7.
Obama Mama Drama?
Obama Mama Drama.
What's the story?
All right. Well, it's my story, so you can tell that it's not news right off the bat. This is an address that Barack Obama gave to Planned Parenthood about a year ago. But it's just come up again, as more people are looking at, Obama might be the Democratic candidate, looking at his positions.
Not might be. Very likely will be.
Probably will be.
Gloriously, triumphantly will be.
Chris is our resident Obama booster. He's Obama Girl 88. This address, though, to Planned Parenthood was very interesting and worth watching. I think, Obama cast the issue of choice in this way. We need to make sure that our daughters have the same rights as our sons to seek their own happiness as they see fit. That's a quote from near the end. And for him, this means, paid maternity leave, women in the armed forces, but, above all in his address, access to abortions.
Guys have access to abortions?
I thought this
For
was...
their
Guys can... The only way that I could, read that, kind of cynically, is that, men can have casual sexual encounters and walk away with no consequences.
Right.
And if we want equal rights for our daughters, they need to be able to
And I think
have
a
that
pithy
same
way
right.
of putting that is equal rights means equal consequences. Because right now we have this gender disparity and our frantic, egalitarian
That's how
impulses.
you should have put it.
Yeah, that's how we should have, because then you would have agreed, right, Adam?
No, I still wouldn't have agreed.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Can I say as a caveat, because we made fun of me about Obama at the very beginning, I like a lot about what Obama says. This happens to be, though, the one sticking issue for me. Like, the one thing that is nearly insurmountable.
Nearly insurmountable.
Nay, I even say surmountable. I only say nearly insurmountable because I haven't found a way around it yet. I'm desperately trying to, but it hasn't.
There's no way around it.
And I've only got like 6 more months, so it's I'm running out of time.
And meanwhile, Ron Paul is sitting right there.
It's
the libertarian.
It's an interesting. This is an interesting way to phrase the issue because he's Obama's all about nonpartisan rhetoric, and crossing the American partisan divide, and of course that came up in this speech, and
which is why I like him.
The way that he brought that to this issue was, if you ask anyone, in red state America whether or not they want their daughters to have opportunities, they'll say yes. And
who would say no to opportunities?
Who would for their daughters? And the way that creeped me out. He of
course, he's assuming the government's job is to make sure we all have opportunities.
He said, "This is what's at stake in this election. This election is not just about playing defense; it's about playing offense. It's not about defending what is; it's about creating what might be in this country. On this issue, I will not yield."
Which is an interesting thing, not about what is, but what might be.
Right. How do we go further?
That is my big argument for the pro-life movement, is the fact that I don't even care. I mean, that the issue of when life begins is kind of a sticking point because it seems to be philosophically driven. You can just pick whichever issue or stance is convenient for you at the time, and it's one to put blinders up on because there's so much philosophical wiggle room. But very young on, I kind of developed this argument, which was like, would you ever throw away a winning lottery ticket? Because it's not $1 million yet, but it's gonna be. All you got to do is like cash it in. And even though that seems poor cliche, I don't really know what it is. I don't like it very much, but it's the same type of thing. Obama's talking about, what can be, what will be, our hope for the future. And then he is like basically maintaining a position that cuts off the future from
babies.
From babies. Whether or not they're human beings at that point, they're gonna be.
Right.
We want to talk about opportunity for our daughters. How about opportunity for our granddaughters in the womb?
Right.
I mean, there's a big issue there which they just always dance around. We want to talk about reproductive choice. How about the choice to live that a fetus should be able to make? And on down the line. You take that argumentation just that one step further, and the whole thing comes tumbling down for him.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing. Go ahead.
One of the interesting things that he brings up the statistic that about half of African American and Hispanic girls will be pregnant by the time they hit their 20s, and he then lauds Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, and points out that the first recipient, Martin Luther King Jr., was the first recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award back in the 1960s.
Dadgum.
So it just, I've been dying to do this on this show.
Let's do it. Break open some Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood.
Margaret Sanger, the Planned Parenthood really hasn't done anything to distance themselves from Margaret Sanger, their founder, who was she
was a diehard eugenicist.
She was a eugenicist. She founded the research bureau that financed and created the pill.
She hung out with a lot of Nazis.
She was a
Big fan of the Nazis,
she was a hardcore Darwinist, and she was trying to work out the idea of the survival of the fittest. And in her idea, the fittest were the rich
white Aryans.
Well, and you have to
Anglos.
understand, at least on that point, she's doing this at a time when social Darwinism is very popular in American culture in general.
Yeah.
Well, now they do it. They just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
And because it's not popular. So she was doing it at a time when it was popular. So I say you go back and you read her stuff, you're getting the same thing. There are a lot of people who still believe this.
Yeah,
and
and
there's talk about it.
And Planned Parenthood, recently got in trouble because someone called in pretending to want to give a donation to Planned Parenthood and asked if their donation could specifically fund the abortion of African American fetuses. So they pretended
to which they gladly responded, "Oh yes, you can choose if you want African American babies to die."
When you say recently, wasn't that like 2 years ago?
No, it was this year.
Yeah, I think it was.
That they did that. And that's an interesting.
So you've got to
YouTube
read some of her quotes before we run out of time.
But we're about to run out of time, so where to start? It's not like these quotes are pulled out of context because there are so many quotes.
Some more pages. I'll find
so many
some
quotes
highlights
to choose from. Margaret Sanger didn't like blacks, immigrants, and indigents. She called them human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. She said that the purpose of birth control was to create a race of thoroughbreds. She said, more children from the fit, less from the unfit. This is the chief aim of birth control.
We need to do some flipping here, actually, because the backside is where the gems are, and especially that one right there.
You've got like a minute.
The most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it, she said.
Awesome.
Let's see.
A spokesperson for Planned Parenthood, Dr. Warren Hearn, referred to human pregnancy as an episodic, moderately extended chronic condition. It may be defined as an illness treated by evacuation of the uterine contents.
And that's a more recent Planned Parenthood quote from the 1970s. Here's one last quote to close out the show. Margaret Sanger said in the book Woman's Body, Woman's Rights, we do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, she said. If it ever occurs to any of their more
rebellious members. We don't want it to go out if it ever occurs to one of their more rebellious members.
We're going to have to close it.
Austin failed the reading comprehension portion.
Thanks for watching Flack. What did you do?
He totally blew that.
I botched the quote. That's so embarrassing.